Well, it's Monday morning, and we're just a little ways away from Pinyao on the train after a night train sleep that was very enjoyable. First one in 50-some years for me. Okay, I'm now in Pingyao at the Harmony guest house. I arrived this morning. This is an old town that I'm inside of right now. It has its original walls restored, I'm sure, and here we're looking at at the south gate. This is all well redone, and it's extremely tourist related. There are probably at least 10, I've seen 5 guest houses right around mine, all equally looking well. Could have got a better deal if I'd simply waited, but to some degree it's not necessarily the point. I can get a lot done at this place that speaks English. One of the benefits I've discovered of being old in China is that their respect for the elderly extends to tickets. I don't have to, apparently from now on, pay anything for entry into any sites that are government, and they're almost all government. I get it for free because I'm over 70. If I were 62, I'd get it for half price. So I'm going to go up and walk the wall, which is an obligatory thing to do when you're here. Then I'll go start looking at all the sites and see as much as I can see today. And if time permits, go to Shanlin Monastery, which is not too far from here, by a battery taxi, they call it. That's a tricycle, usually the base of which is a motor. So we're entering up onto the wall through the south gate entrance or incline. Much will be highly recognized. Remember, noise is a constant feature of China and its people. Any excuse to make noise seems to be a good one. This is an impressive looking building. To what degree it's original, I have no clue. It probably reflects what's been here for some time. And it may be original. Okay, we're facing a solidified history. Please take good care of it. Remember that Chinese, from what I can gather, is a very literal language. Here, what it means is you are involved with or are given the opportunity to appreciate a very important piece of Chinese history. That's basically what that's saying. There is also a carriage with a brightly decorated burro ready to slowly drive tourists about the area. Way down there you can see what I think is the drum tower or bell tower in the center of town. I don't believe that's the north gate. I think will be quite a bit beyond there. You can see that's kind of interesting. It looks like there's some state of restoration or state of deterioration. I can't figure out which. Much of what we'll see here is a reflection of what was seen on the wall. These large pot, which looks like it's made out of ceramic rather than the lower parts. Yeah, not sure whether it's ceramic or metal, but it could be iron or brass or just a big ceramic bowl. It was basically a fire reservoir. These are some probably reproduction models of siege engines. This device here was allowed a person to be in it, then raised up. Since it's my intent to walk around the wall, I'm going to do exactly that. Before we get started, we'll look at these whimsical brass cartoon characters, which probably represent typical people of the past. These two sculptures illustrating acts of war and defense. This man about ready to drop a big rock on who's ever coming up. This man about to fire a arrow down through there, and you can see that this is somewhat of a fantasy since this man stands probably 6 inches taller than I am I was under the impression you could walk all around this wall, but if that's the wall down there, I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but we'll explore and find out. And these are probably a reproduction because, as you can see, compared to the Great Wall, which was certainly provided a precedent, I would think, for any other wall built in China, it doesn't have the same kind of design and even the functional design that we're used to seeing. Here are a slew of perhaps typical cannon, except that these look like reproductions, unless these bands were actually cast into the cannon. Normally, those bands were applied, I believe, afterward to give more strength. You can see off in the distance there to the left, coming into the camera view, the wall, the north wall, so we'll be taking a rather brisk and long walk to do this. This is another kind of tile, roofing tile that I've seen, but it was not as prevalent as those curved as pictured here. So it's blocked, which is too bad. Problem with greater tourism is it also kills opportunity, because for whatever the reason, and it's not just here, it's everywhere, they reduce access. Yeah, I'll try going the other direction. Here we see something kind of interesting. You can see down in the inner courtyard, but the second floors also have a balcony at their access, and that may be their equivalent of having an inner courtyard. I don't know how old that innovation is. One benefit of walking this wall is we get to look down into these inner courtyards, and I suspect that these are probably reflective of how most of the people live, particularly at the income level that these folks are probably at. And this is the tree that I believe creates those and drops those little red nut-like fruits that taste like kiwi. And that looks like corn drying in the sun. A little shot across the rooftops. Notice how those trees almost look like come from a rooftop level, but I just think they're tall trees, but giving shade to that rooftop. This wall is kind of fun to travel on. It's real easy to walk. It's flat, but the way it sinuously winds around adds some interest to it. And here's a pretty view down into a family's courtyard and a coal deposit. There I believe you can see the remnants of a moat that used to go all around, and it's still established, I think, up in the tourist section. And this architectural detail is interesting. I think that that's a drainage, and if so, that rock would cause the water to disperse out, but I don't know why this channel is here lined with brick. Here's one of those three-wheeled vehicles with a body of a van.